Hello everybody, and welcome to the Tuesday Toolbox meeting of adult children of alcoholics in Cobble Hill, Brooklyn. My name is Anne. I'm a Tuesday Toolbox member and an adult child. We're recording our speakers every week because we're hoping others will benefit from hearing these stories from our members. We'd love to hear your comments and questions. Our email address is tuesdaytoolboxaca@gmail.com. Also, please take a moment to rate our podcast on SoundCloud or iTunes. It will help others find the podcast. Adult Children of Alcoholics is a 12-step program of recovery for people who grow up in an alcoholic or otherwise dysfunctional home. If you'd like to find a meeting to attend, go to adultchildren.org and click on Meetings. This week, we're hearing from our friend Sebastian speaking about the inner loving parent. Please enjoy.
Hey, I'm Sebastian. Thank you for asking me to speak minutes ago. So I had a lot of time to not be prepared, which is good, because I wasn't thinking too much about it, and I just went with the thing that's been most relevant for me, which is the solution, which is to become a loving parent. So I'm going to kind of jump around just a little bit. It's in chapter 8 on page 295. Becoming our own loving parent means that many of us come to believe that our higher power is our actual parent. Our biological parents were the couple needed to bring us into the world. The birth parents passed on the disease of family dysfunction that affects us in our lives today. Our higher power is the parent who gives us unconditional love and the way out of confusion and self-abuse. Many adult children can be lukewarm to the notion of a loving parent who lives inside of them and who is thoughtful and affirming. They can more easily identify with a critical parent who's harsh or who produces consistent self-doubt from within. Many of us can accept the idea of an inner critical parent, but balk at the notion of a loving one. Parenting ourselves as children and reparenting ourselves as adults has important distinctions. We're alone as children, and we're forced to grow up too soon. We are not alone as we reparent ourselves in ACA. Through recovery, we use reparenting to connect with ourselves and others in a healthy manner. Reparenting also gives us a chance to reclaim our childhood years in a more supportive light. We can use reparenting to salvage our displaced childhood years. We can reclaim and restage those childhood years. We do not fictionalize our childhood, but we take the time to see how vulnerable, courageous, and loving we were as children. We can give ourselves the care we gave others. This is how we go forward in life, by knowing where we came from and how we survived to get here. There's so many great things in this chapter that I'm not... there's actually one more that I'm kind of losing. I'm just going to sort of elaborate on this. First of all, the idea of a loving parent was super foreign to me. It still is. It still feels distant. Whereas the inner critical parent, or whatever, the critic, is what I am. It actually is the compass for me. I get confused when I don't have that. And I live in reaction to that. And it's either me rebelling against it or completely surrendering to it, but it's always in this dialogue with this inner critic. And when I was a teenager, it was all about rebelling against it and sort of negating it, but as a result of it, also negating myself and being very self-destructive. And later, when I try to get my things, get my life together and joined AA, got off methadone, got clean, the inner critical parent became something that would save me. And maybe it did, but it was a very militant voice, and it was all about the wrongs, my character defects, how I was always in the wrong, my intuition was wrong, my impulses were wrong, and I had to always correct them. And and then I ran out of road, like in AA. Like I hit a place where I was just like, I don't know where else to go. It's just like I literally ended up on the floor in a fetal position. Like this event happened that resolved itself. Like, I forget that it even happened, and that was the thing that brought me to ACA. But I have a business, and I'm a filmmaker, and Department of Labor was going to penalize me severely for, I was going to get wiped out basically with these penalties for things that I actually did for myself. They were like personal projects actually, but because I hired people, they thought they all should be viewed as employees, and it would have just wiped me out. But then I just got resolved, and but it brought me here, so it was like this amazing gift. This event, and I think if it happened today with all of the kind of reparenting that I had engaged myself in, I think it would be different. Like I think I would just have this kind of inner voice that would also prop me up. But because of this event, and I'm kind of, the reason I'm bringing this up because it's like authority figures, institutions, my father who told me that I should never for a second engage in any creativity. Like he actively pursued like knocking that out of me. And then my mother telling me that I would perish without her. So it's like you have to stay really close and be like a lapdog, and she used me as a shield against the violence that was at my house. And I literally slept with my mom in the same bed to I won the Oedipal fight. My father was like in the kitchen. On a cot. Like I grew up in Poland in a small apartment. So in any event, when this event happened, it was like all of those, like the sort of this like masculine male sort of authoritarian bunch of dudes, bureaucrats, like, they all just came down and punished me for being an artist. And I just ended up on the floor, like literally just couldn't move. I was like, I'm fucked, And then, coming here and just totally surrendering to this and kind of cultivating this kind of like, recognizing that I'm a child actually, right? Like that was such a reaction of not a typical 42-year-old's reaction to end up on the floor in a fetal position. So there was some other part of me that was still living and around that had not matured or whatever, so coming here was like, that was the first thing. It's like acknowledging that I have this like inner child, which I still struggle calling by name, I still like have a hard time calling myself an adult child, which I really love about this program, is that you don't have to say that you are anything other than your name. I really love that. And then, then when I was with this inner child, then it was like the kid was just unruly. Suddenly it's like, oh, let's do like whatever. And then the idea of like the loving parent or inner loving parent had to emerge. And what I did for a long time, even in AA and NA recovery, was that I did sort of come up with an idea of a higher power that worked for me, and it was something that I could turn to, and anytime I felt too scared or something, I could just be like, please take it away, and all this. And then, funny thing, last year in ACA, I was working on this project that was riddled with all these problems. It was like a high stakes sort of big thing, and it was like falling apart, and then I would like pray to that God, and it would kind of get better, and it was just like verging all the time. And then it like worked out, and I was like, oh yes, this is like, there is a God, right? Like there is a God. This project totally worked out. It didn't wasn't supposed to. And then it completely fell apart. And then I was like, okay, so this God that I have is no good. Like this God is just not good enough. I can't believe in this. I can't believe in the same God that I believed in as a child. Mm-hmm. This kind of magical God, magical, solving all problems. And I was left literally with like, there's only me and the loving parent, the inner loving parent. And I started to kind of engage with this is for me. That's the beauty of it. Like we all kind of come up with our own thing. But for me, the inner loving parent had slowly become my higher power. And it was, and I wake up in the morning, because it was like, okay, like shit will happen. Things will, nothing's guaranteed to work out. Nothing's necessarily always solvable. I mean, like look at the world we're in right this second, but I can make my inner child, my inner child wash his hands and blah, blah, blah. Like I can do all those other things. Because my inner child wants to just like burn it all down. In fact, it's funny how like anytime there's a crisis, I get really like calm and I'm like, oh, I know how to do this. Like, this is great. Like we're all gonna die, amazing. Like let's do it, It's calming to me. But if it's a world that like is sort of open and there's lots of possibilities. I mean, this is like a quintessential thing that children suffer from, right? Like kids need discipline, actually. I mean, not being hit, but they need parameters because the world is just too anxiety provoking for a child who doesn't know where it all ends and begins. So, thank you. And so like, when I'm like filled with possibilities, my life is looking like it could go anywhere. Like I really get freaked out. Like especially if it's like, oh, things could be really good. I'm like, really? Like I don't trust it, So anyway, this inner loving parent, what I do with now is every morning when I wake up, I kind of almost like scan myself, because I do inevitably wake up with anxiety. Sometimes it's like physical pain. Like it's not physical, but it's like I feel these pockets of pain in me, these psychic pain kind of stuff. And I scan, and it's like my inner, like, so first it's that, which whatever it is. It's like maybe it's the inner child that's been hurt, whatever. But then I have to awaken my inner loving parent. And the inner loving parent goes, it's going to be okay. Where does it hurt? What's the fear? Okay, it's totally fine. You can be afraid. Like, what are you afraid? Like this compassion that I've never experienced from other people. And not because they were mean, actually. I talked to my mother today. It's her birthday, 78 years old, in Poland. And I listened to her and all this. She was like, I mean, they were just product of a whole different thing, But what I can do is I can actually just first allow myself to be all that, afraid, scared, anxious, and then kind of engage with like, okay, where is it, like really kind of test it out. Like, where is it coming from? Like, what is it about? And most of the time as soon as I ask that, it just goes away because the kid doesn't even know. The kid just needs to be comforted. Mm-hmm. Like, it's okay. It's going to be okay. I'm here. Like, I'm going to take care of it. I'm going to take care of all that stuff. Like, so it's so weird to talk about these things like this, but, it is like this kind of like thing. And then one last thing I would say is about that is, gosh, I forgot this other thing, but this other idea came into mind, which is whenever we are like experiencing trauma, right? In the real moment, it's sort of like it's really the inner child that's freaking out, and so in a sense, it's like, okay, maybe this is an overreaction to what's happening right now, but it is very real for the inner child. So my job is to sort of, as a loving parent, to say like, okay, well, this doesn't warrant like burning down the building, even though the inner child wants to do that. But I understand that it would feel that way to you, whoever you are, 7, 8, whatever years old. And so it's really kind of important to engage on both of these sort of fronts. And I have to say that I'm beginning to feel sort of unified and I mean, this is just, I'm barely starting this out. So like, I've only done this for, a very short amount of time. And I can really do this with you guys. Like, I feel really encouraged here. And like, no one's like, even though usually I go into a meeting, it's like, they all want me out of the meeting. Like, that's the first thought comes. So like, they want to eject me from a meeting. No one wants to hear a word I have to say. Those are the kind of things. And then, of course, we all, some of us probably feel the same way. So anyway, thanks so much.
Thank you.